tragic accident. Like tragic accidents just happen all the time in Carroll County. I'm just saying. It's a very, very unlucky place to live. They dropped the charges because it was accidental. You don't accidentally run over somebody and back up and try to do it again. Let's start from the beginning as investigative reporters, right? So you would ask the questions who, what, where, when, and why. Should be easy, right? Of course it is. Yes, I know, you're innocent until proven guilty, but what good does that do you if you are not alive?
Well, hello, my silky friends. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Delphi Circus, right? Jeez almighty. I wanted to go, actually, I was going to do Karen Reed live. I've been watching, but I had bad storms this morning, and so my internet was in and out. And then I saw the dock drops, and I'm like, oh, we're back on the train. Yeah. And I will say, honestly, I'm pretty happy about some of these docs because it proves my opinion. So, of course, I love it, right? Things I've been saying forever. Hello, Kayla. How are you? Nobody, nothing. Good to see you. Alien. Good to see you, too. Hope everybody's doing great this morning. Angie Gibson. Hello. Scully. Hey, do you watch my other channel? Because I have a ghost story channel. I can't grab him right now. I have a ghost story channel, Avalon Cottage, with an I, not an O-N. It's an I-N. And I tell ghost stories, true ghost stories. My sidekick is Scully. My cat's going nuts, of course. But that's so funny. I love it. Laura Thompson, hello. You're at the vet for, okay, that's all right. Catch it on the replay. Most people do. You know, it's weird times. I have no set schedule. My life is unscheduled, so there you go. Mythical, hello to you. All right, Amy Sue, how are you doing? Good. This should be an interesting read. By the way, speaking of read, the Reed case is a lot of questions. I'm probably going to do a live tonight, catching up with that, and maybe catching up with some of the info as it breaks on Sebastian Rogers and Riley Strain. I wanted to do that last night, but Delphi, the ever-changing circus of Delphi. Hello, Lambert. How are you doing? All right, so if you didn't know, there are 2 more doc drops. We'll be reading through those. Yeah. Like I said, yesterday, man, that document, I had time with that one. But I've already read over both of these, so nothing is a surprise, except, like I said, information that I started as a question about a year ago, started saying, hey, this doesn't make sense. And now we've got it in documents. And so, there was a 4th Frank's motion. We're going to start with that one. And then the other one is kind of, it's another motion, but it kind of recaps some of this stuff. So, yeah, hold on to your britches. It's like an everyday thing. And I'm working the next 3 days. So whatever happens Wednesday through Friday, I'm probably not going to be able to. I am going live Thursday night, but I'm probably not going to be able to catch up with y'all. All right, let's get right into this craziness. All right, I'm not going to see your comments for a few minutes because I'm making this very big so I can see. And I might still have to have my glasses. I need to know how to do this better. I need some lessons. All right. Here we go. Frank's motion number 4. 4. But now there is some compelling evidence. Yeah, I'm going to have my glasses. What is on my computer screen? Okay. That's weird. I don't know. I've got a weird line through my face. Whatever. Worst things could happen. All right. Comes now the defendant, Richard Allen, by counsel Andrew Baldwin, Bradley Rossi, and Jennifer Auger for his motion to compel. States as follows. General background. Number 1. On September 18th, 2023, Mr. Allen, by counsel, filed his first Frank's notice, hereinafter Frank's 1, which included a 136-page memorandum in support of the notice, which detailed the following. You know, we all remember the Franks, right? Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett failed to include in his search warrant application for the residence of Richard Allen under cause number 08C01-2210-MC84. I don't think I'm going to do these numbers. I hate these numbers. Herein after the search warrant. Okay. Why isn't this going down? Hold on. Let me change what I'm doing here. Okay. Hold on. There we go. It's on the wrong thing. There we go. B. Certain evidence that was detailed in his search warrant applicated for the search warrant that was false. And C. Evidence that law enforcement had acted in an intentional manner on multiple instances, attempting to conceal evidence from the defense and failing to tell the truth under oath concerning certain evidence. Jeez. Okay. Basically, they're saying, you lied. We've talked about this. We know. You lied. You lied, Liggett. Is anyone shocked? No. Not me, for sure. Number 2. Mr. Allen, by counsel, incorporates his first Frank's notice and memorandum filed on September 18th, 2023, as if fully outlined herein. Yeah, that was when the bombshells dropped. Remember September 18th and 19th? That's when all the world was ablaze. Number 3. On October 3rd, 2023, Mr. Allen, by counsel, filed his second Frank's notice. If you remember that first one, that 136-page memorandum that had all the details in it that made us all go nuts, and, so many people said that was not necessary to put all that in, which it really wasn't, but it was if you wanted to build your case, kind of get that out there in the public. And it was brilliant. I do agree they didn't have to put all that in there. So they turn around and they did another Frank's motion, and it was very concise. If you remember that one, it did allude to some stuff, but it didn't go into details, and that was probably the way it normally should have been done. I do understand why they did what they did, though. Because if they hadn't done that 136-page memorandum, then none of us on here would know all this information about the Odinist and Westfall and Holder and the potential of other people being involved, and we wouldn't have started digging, right? Because I think everybody touched on Odinism at some point, or other creators did, but we didn't really know that much, so it was always just kind of a blip. Well, this is a theory. It could be. All right, that one was hereinafter Frank's 2, detailing how the prosecution and law enforcement had attempted to conceal the identity of a Purdue professor whose testimony contradicted that of law officers Tony Liggett and Jerry Holman of the Indiana State Police. Yeah, this is what bothered me about that whole thing. If it was just Liggett's lies, if it was just Liggett and Lesenby and, Carroll County pulling shenanigans, then I'm not saying it's okay or right. I'm just saying it wouldn't have been as disturbing to me, because there's a lot of times you have small town corruption. But we're talking about Holman, right? We're talking about Holman of the state police. who just got a promotion, by the way. Jer, congrats. And then, yesterday in chat, somebody said you're buying a Golden Corral franchise. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Yeah. Whatever. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I want to know if that's true. This notice was provided as a supplement to the first Franks notice in order to bolster the defense contention that the state of Indiana and law enforcement were acting intentionally and or with reckless disregard of the truth to further support the request of a Franks hearing. All right, we've all been down that road before. Number 4, Mr. Allen, by counsel, incorporates his second Franks notice filed on October 3rd, 2023, as if fully set out herein. Number 5, on March 13th, 2024, Mr. Allen, by counsel, filed his third Franks notice, hereinafter Franks 3, based on evidence recently provided by the prosecution. Okay. Now, in March, we go to trial in May. In March, they're still getting evidence, which I do see as a problem, especially since they were supposed to have everything in by November 1st of 2023. But remember, I don't think anybody could get it together. So what did they do? They're like, we're kicking the defense team off, and now you have to start all over. So, Nick, don't worry. Don't worry about that November 1st deadline, because it's a moot point now. Can y'all see? Can you see what's going on here? It's not, how many coincidences before it's not a coincidence anymore? It's just outright a miscarriage of justice. All right, travesty, whatever. There's a certain show, a crap show. I'm not gonna say the word. I want to, but I'm not gonna say it. All right. All right. On March 13th, 2024, he had his third Franks based on the evidence that was provided recently by the prosecution. Franks 3 detailed the following information omitted from the search warrant. We talked about this a little bit yesterday if you watched my live. At least 3. See, I said 2. When we were talking about geofencing, I said there was at least 2 down at the crime scene, but I was mistaken. There were 3. Mama. Wonder who those people were. At least 3 persons were in or around the crime scene at the time the unalivings were allegedly taking place, and none of the owners of the phones had any connection to Richard Allen. Well, now that is a problem if you're the prosecution. And B, Purdue professor Jeffrey Turco wrote in a report provided to Unified Command that the markings referring to the configuration of the branches on the girls' bodies constitute an inscription inspired by Norse runes or modern creations thereof is quite plausible. All right, so we're back to Turco and the runes because, again, they lied. First they couldn't find him, if y'all are new. If you haven't heard this before, at first they couldn't find Turco. He was the mystery professor. And then, boom, they pulled a rabbit out of their hat. And they said, yeah, we talked to him, but he said that this had nothing to do with Odinism. But the report said, oh, yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yes, he did. He definitely did say it is. All right, number 6. Mr. Allen, by counsel, incorporates his third Franks motion, filed March 13th, 2024, as if fully set out herein. Now, this is what we get. This is where we get, if you hung with me so far, we're going to get into some interesting information. Again, for me, it was a no-brainer. I just got to see it in writing, okay? And that does make a difference when you're trying to present this case to a jury. Additional facts. On Friday, April 26, just a few days ago, 2024, the prosecution provided numerous documents to Mr. Allen's counsel as a result of the motion to compel and motion for sanctions filed on April 23rd. Remember, we talked about that. All this evidence, how are they going to get it into trial now when some of it may require testing, some of it may require DNA testing, and all kinds of stuff. Then, the file dump, whatever. All right. Number 8, contained in the documents provided by the prosecution are pages 2 and 3 of an incident report authored by Steve Mullen of the Delphi Police Department. Okay, what did Mr. Mullen have to say? That's interesting. These 2 pages indicate that Steve Mullen contacted Sergeant Mitch, I'm going to say this is Blocker. If I'm wrong, I am sorry. But that's what you're going to be today, okay? Sergeant Mitch Blocker of the Indiana State Police at approximately 9 o'clock p.m. on February 13th, 2017, to assist with acquiring precise location information for a cell phone using some of their more technical assets. Okay, now remember, the girls went missing about 3:15 is when they realized they weren't there. They started the search. So at 9 p.m., Steve Mullen contacts Mitch Blocker of the ISP, and he's trying to get, okay, good. You're doing your job, Steve. So far, so good. We're trying to get some information here. It appears that the last communication with Sergeant Blocker was prior to 1 a.m., on February 14th, 2017. So somewhere between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., they're, messaging, they're communicating back and forth. Number 10, the 2 pages provided to Mr. Allen's counsel contain the following summary of a conversation between Steve Mullen and Sergeant Blocker of the ISP. Quote, Sergeant Blocker advised, according to his evaluation of the data provided by AT&T, the last contact event between the cell phone and the tower located at Wells Street was at 17:44:50 hours. Now, if you are not familiar with military time, that is 5:44 p.m. So, the girls go missing at 3:15. By 5:44, he's, looking at this evaluation, and he's saying the last cell phone event was at 5:44. So that is, if we go by the timeline of the prosecution, it was all over with by about 3:30, right? So we've got another cell phone ping at 5:44. Well, we know that people had been out there, right? People were out there. They were searching. It was getting dark, but people were out there searching actively at that time. He advised that according to the records provided by AT&T, there had been no contact with the phone since then. Okay, so the phone cuts off contact at 5:44 p.m. Sergeant Blocker advised that his interpretation of the information which we were receiving from AT&T indicated that the cell phone was no longer in the area. That's the first possibility. It's either no longer in the area or no longer in working condition. Okay? So something has happened to that cell phone. We're assuming, probably they were assuming at that time, maybe that something happened to the phone. It was crushed, thrown in the water, whatever. It was no longer in working condition. That was, a thought at the time. He advised that since there had been no change in the every 15 minutes update we were receiving, and the last known contact time had not changed since 5:44 p.m. Okay, what that means is they were checking it, like getting the data every 15 minutes, updating, right, on where that phone is, what's going on. At 5:44 p.m., it stopped. So from then up until their last communication at 1 a.m. the next day, they kept getting the information that either the phone is not in the area or it is not in working condition, like it's broken. It's gone. Not just that it's off, it is gone. It's not there. All right. Number 11. The conversation above appears to have occurred prior to 1 a.m. on February 14th, 2017. So, again, they're talking about that 15 minutes somewhere prior to 1 a.m., which was the cutoff time of when they stopped talking. Right? You with me? On November 9th, 2023, the prosecution provided Mr. Allen's counsel with evidence of 44 pings generated by AT&T to locate Liberty's phone, hereinafter pings. So LG's phone is now just going to be called pings, right? Because it was her phone that was found. There were 2 pings from February 13th, 2017 in the pings provided to defense counsel. One at 5:48 and another at 7:16 p.m. Okay, well, I thought they said, wait. But I thought they just said they weren't having any pings since 5:44 up until 1 a.m. when they stopped contacting. They're being told, hey, look, the phone is either out of the area or it's been destroyed because we're not getting anything from this phone. But, okay. But now we're saying that there were 44 pings and one at 5:48, which is 4 minutes past the 5:44, and at 7:16. Okay. So that's like an hour and a half later. All right. So where did these? All right. There were more pings. So let's go down to number 14. Mr. Allen's counsel did not learn of additional pings which took place every 15 minutes on February 13th until the discovery disclosure on April 26, 2024. Y'all knew, but you just didn't tell anybody. Defense counsel still does not have the additional pings from February 13th, 2017 or the early morning of February 14th, 2017. What? So there were even more, because remember, there were 44 pings. 44. If you will remember, and I think I even did a 1-minute video on this, Mike Patty said that phone was pinging all over town, right? We all know that. We've all heard that a million times. Okay. But they were being told, no, since 5:44, we haven't had zip. But that's not true. Oh, but, we're not going to disclose that to you, defense, until April 26th, all right? And they still don't have the additional pings. All they know is there's one at 5:48 and 7:16. But where are the other 42 pings? Or however many were between there? What? You still don't have that? You're the defense. He's going on trial for his life next month, and you don't have the other pings. What do y'all think about that? All right. Pursuant to the information which the prosecution disclosed to Mr. Allen's counsel, the first ping on February 14th, 2017 was sent to Liberty German's phone at 5:39:41 a.m. So, all right. What you were told initially is there wasn't any pings on that phone for basically 12 hours, right? From 5:44 p.m. to 5:39 a.m. And then you found out, oh no, there were 2 more. Oh, and actually there were 44, but yeah, who knows where those are? Jeez, go find them yourself, right? Number 15. More importantly is Sergeant Blocker's statement that his interpretation of the information which they were receiving from AT&T indicated that the cell phone was no longer in the area or no longer in working condition. Now, this is important. This is very important. The prosecution's entire case rests on the idea that Liberty German and Abigail Williams were on or very near the south side of the Monon High Bridge at 2:13 p.m. and that Richard Allen unalived them between that time when a witness allegedly saw a man in blue jeans and a blue jacket on 300 North shortly before 3:57 p.m. In other words, assuming the prosecution's evidence is accurate, Liberty and Abigail were unalived after 2:13 and before 3:57 on February 13th, 2017. Okay, right. That's what we've all heard. And that's what I have contested in my alleged theories for the past year. All right. Additionally, this is number 17. Additionally, assuming this timeline is accurate, the prosecution would have the girls between the Monon High Bridge and the location where the bodies were found from 2:13 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, or, the bridge video, until they were found at approximately 12:15 p.m. on February 14th, 2017, of course, the next afternoon. Number 18, at the time the bodies of Abby and Libby were found, Libby's phone was under Libby's shoe. Okay, Libby's phone is under her own shoe, both of which were under the body of Abigail. Okay, we've talked about this, the thinkers. We've looked at this, and this is, of course it's had to be speculation because nobody had it in writing. All right. Assuming the prosecution's timeline is accurate, Liberty's phone was under her shoe, which was under Abby, from sometime after 2:13 p.m. on February 13th until the bodies were found at 12:15 on the 14th and had remained at the location in that condition for the entire time, right? We've talked about this before. If Libby's phone, the same one that has Bridge Guy, the same one that they said pinged all over town, the same one that apparently went dead, is what they said, or no longer working out of the area, or no longer working after 5:44 p.m. on the 13th, but yet it's found there. So it actually never left the area if the prosecution's timeline and theory is correct, right? Number 20. However, Sergeant Blocker stated on February 13th, 2017 that the cell phone was no longer in the area or in working condition. Now, this is your ISP guy who they reached out to on the 13th and said, hey, we need some technical assistance because we've got some missing girls here. And we need to know, easiest way, of course, to find somebody is to track them by their cell phone. And so that's exactly what they were doing, right? Pinging every 15 minutes, sending an update. Number 21, hush, baby. There is no way Liberty's cell phone could have been out of the area between 9 p.m. on February 13th and 1 a.m. on February 14th if the prosecution's timeline is accurate because the phone was at the location where the bodies were found that entire time. That is what I have said over and over and over. Those girls were not there. They weren't there. Cut and dried. They weren't there. And that's just from not only common sense, but because of the searchers, the people that were down there, all the stuff that went on the 13th, the drone. We all know those girls, if you're thinking, those girls weren't there, and the prosecution's timeline is crap. If their timeline is crap, then what else in their evidence is crap, okay? The PCA, if the girls weren't there at that time, the PCA is useless, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? How important this is? And they're saying, what the defense is saying in this Frank's motion is that the prosecution knew that. They knew all along that their timeline was crap, according to the cell phone records, where they were found, what happened, the pings during the night, and the fact that, it don't add up. I don't know what kind of math y'all do in Carroll County, but I think you might need to start again at, kindergarten. Let's start from the beginning, because it ain't mathin'. You've got 2 plus 2 equal, 7. This is ridiculous. All right, number 22. Assuming the prosecution's timeline is accurate, there is no way that the phone was not in working condition between 9 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, and 1 a.m. on February 14th because we know the phone was on and communicating with the cell tower at 4:33 a.m. on February 14th. Now remember, they still have pings that they don't have, like there's 44 out there. They've only got a couple of them. All right, the defense doesn't have all of them, but we know that Mike said it was pinging all over town. We also know that it was said years ago that it pinged at 2:30 a.m. So there are other pings that people are talking about. Obviously somebody knows, but guess who doesn't know? The defense. You would think that would be important knowledge if you're defending somebody's life. But let's go on. All right. Calm down. All right. For the prosecution's timeline to work, the phone had to have been in the same condition for some time prior to 3:57 p.m. on February 13th, the time the witness sees the man on 300 North, until the time the bodies were found on the 14th. Right, because, okay, if you're saying that this cell phone is that way, then, I mean, you're messing up the whole witness thing. If you mess up the witness thing, then she didn't see Richard Allen there. First of all, we know from the geofencing he wasn't over there, but 3 other people were. It's the circus. You know how Ringling Brothers, they have the 3 rings? So there's something going on over here, and then there's something going on in the middle, and something going on over there. Like, I need to do a whole spoof video on this. But, you've got all these things. Well, if you're looking over here, something else is going on over there, and it's just a circus. It's just like, okay, let's put the spotlight over here. Let's watch this part. Let's watch the Lion Tamers. Okay, now let's stick the spotlight over here. Here's the acrobats. What's going on in the middle? I don't know, because I'm not watching. Watching over here. Watching what you're spotlighting. Does that make sense? It's like, where's the peanuts and popcorn? That's what I'm saying. All right, number 23. At the time of the search warrant for Mr. Allen's residence, members of the ISP were also aware that the last ping of LG's phone was not at 5:49 p.m. on February 13th, but at 4:35 a.m. on February 14th. So, what? Wait, hold the phone. Okay, so at the time of the search warrant for Mr. Allen, right? When they went into his house, when he thought he was helping him, and then, it all just went sideways. The ISP, I'm not talking about Carroll County. I'm not talking about, all the corruption and all the whatevers of all these people, all the characters, the bad actors. Not talking about them. We're talking about the ISP. They knew at the time of Mr. Allen's search warrant, they were aware that the last ping of LG's phone was not in the evening, 5:44, but in the morning. Okay. So you already know there's a problem here, right, ISP? But why didn't you say anything? Like, what? Okay. Furthermore, this is number 24. Furthermore, it is evident from the data on LG's phone that the phone was accessed and connected with the cell tower at 4:33 a.m. on February 14th. Okay. So now it went from, remember, ISP said initially that phone is either out of the area or it's no longer in working condition. But it was in working condition, and it did indeed have a video on it, didn't it? So, all right. You knew because the last ping was at 4:33. But ISP, you already were pinging this. You were already getting reports every 15 minutes, right? This is not mathing. Number 25, Tony Liggett submitted an affidavit for the search warrant that did not recklessly disregard the truth. No, had he. Okay, sorry. Had Tony Liggett submitted an affidavit for the search warrant that did not recklessly disregard the truth, it would have included the following. I love the way they write stuff. I really do. A. When the bodies were found at approximately 12:17 on February 14th, there were sticks and branches which appeared to have been deliberately placed on the bodies. B. FBI Special Agent Nicole Robertson stated that the bodies appeared to have been moved and staged. C. At the time of the unalivings, Abby was dating Logan Holder. D. Logan Holder is the son of Brad Holder. E. Jerry Holman is the Indiana State Police consultant of the Indiana... Why is there a police... Oh my God. What? There's a police vehicle in my yard. Hold on. Y'all keep reading. I've got to see. Well, I don't know what's going on. They just pulled up into my driveway. Uh-oh. I'm not guilty of anything. Okay. I have no idea. I literally have no idea. I know y'all don't know the way my room is laid out, but I have like a huge window door right here. And I saw a white vehicle pull up, but like everybody in my household except me drives white vehicles. So I thought somebody was coming in and out. And I saw it was a white SUV and it said police. And here's the problem, okay? I'm not wanted for anything. I'm not worried about anything. I don't know why the police... I have a very... my driveway is very hard to find. So it's weird if somebody pulls all the way... And they didn't pull... Like, it's a long driveway, too. So they pulled all the way up to the house. But they didn't knock on the door. And here I am. I know y'all think, I'm dressed and ready. The truth is, I do not have pants on. And I didn't want to go out there in just a shirt and no pants. Oh, I assume that was my local police. It doesn't look like the county. The county has different colored vehicles, so I don't know. Am I being swatted? I don't know. But they're going to take me. If you're going to take me, you're going to take me without pants. That's for sure. Okay, man, that was crazy because I wasn't even paying attention until they were backing out and the side of the vehicle said police. Again, I'm not a turnaround driveway, okay? And you have to come way up in here for me to see you. All right. Yeah, you got to be comfy at home. Yeah. Well, I'm comfy. I don't know how comfortable the police are going to be if I answer the door like this. All right. I am just, we're going to carry on. That was a little blip. I guess I'll find out. Nobody that I know of has committed any crimes, so. All right, let's go back to Tony Liggett. I'm a little shook. I'm telling me. Let me take another sip of coffee. So I'm thinking, what in the heck are you looking for? The last time the police were up here was like 2 years ago when my dog was in somebody else's. I had let her out and she was in somebody else's yard barking. But I have nothing going on here, so. Whatever. Maybe it's the wrong address. I don't know how you get that, though, for here. All right. So, let's see. The bodies were staged and moved. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go down to E. All right. Jerry Holman of the Indiana State Police consulted with Professor Jeffrey Turco of Purdue University. Purdue University Professor Jeffrey Turco wrote in a report provided to Unified Command that the markings referring to the configuration of the branches on the girls' bodies constitute an inscription inspired by Norse runes or modern recreations thereof is quite plausible. Okay, so he again, Turco didn't say this is definitely the Odinist, but this is somebody who is inspired by Norse runes. For sure, those are runes or modern recreations, maybe somebody's interpretation, but definitely it is Norse pagan in nature. G. In 2017, Brad Holder belonged to a group practicing and following Nordic pagan beliefs. H. Brad Holder posted pictures on Facebook mimicking the crime scene. He sure did. Y'all have seen those, I'm sure. I. Abigail and Liberty were unalived after 2:13 and before 3:57 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. I disagree with that. But he was saying that this is what the search warrant should have said if he had been telling the truth, right? During that time, there were 3 phones in the area where the girls were last seen and the location where the bodies were found. That's the wrong kind of scene, y'all. That was a boo-boo. None of these phones belonged to Richard Allen. On February 13th and 14th, law enforcement requested AT&T pings of Liberty German's phone every 15 minutes. The last time of the last ping to LG's phone on February 13th was 5:44, and the time of the first ping on February 14th was at 4:33. Now, again, we're going off, the defense is going off on what they have. I'm not sure, because according to this, I'm not sure that they have all 44 pings. I don't think they do, or they definitely would have mentioned it was pinging elsewhere. But to the best of their knowledge, and they're saying this is what should have been said. L. Indiana State Police believed that LG's cell phone was either out of the area of the Wells Street Tower or not in working condition between 5:44 on the 13th and 4:33 on the 14th, at which time there was a successful ping to the phone. Again, it's either out of the area. You got 2 choices. It's either not working, it's broken, it's not in working condition, which we know is 100% not true since it was found under her shoe, under Abby. So that's you can't even take that into consideration. So what does that leave us with? It wasn't there. The phone was not in the area. It's pinging all over town. What does that mean? That means if it was with Abby and Libby, who also weren't there, by the way, yeah, the girls weren't there. The phone wasn't there. The girls weren't there. Everything is wrong about this. And, there are 3 other people in the area at the time of the unalivings. They know that. Here it is. We talked about it yesterday. They know that from geofencing. I want to know why we don't know who those 3 people are and what is their excuse for being at that area of around the Monon High Bridge at that time. Why is Mr. Allen being, why is he on trial when he was on the bridge and there were 3 other people at the crime scene? Does this make sense to y'all? Unless there wasn't a crime going on at that scene at that time. Well, the phone wasn't there that night, so what are the chances that the girls were there when there were searchers? Come on. Number 26, these omissions are so voluminous and significant that there is no explanation for their omission other than a reckless disregard for the truth. I agree 100%. Number 27, had Tony Liggett not recklessly withheld pertinent information from his probable cause affidavit on the search warrant, the application would have been denied. That's right, because if Tony Liggett had told the truth, the judge never would have signed. He would have never gotten the search warrant if you'd told the truth. But guess what? He knew he couldn't tell the truth because he needed to be the next sheriff, right? And things weren't looking as good for old Tony as they were for Mike Pinkard. Don't believe me? You question that? Go look up the town hall meeting of Delphi where the debate was. You can find the one between Mike Thomas, Mike Pinkard, and Tony Liggett. That one's pretty danged interesting too. But then Thomas is out of the race, and you've got Pinkard and Liggett. Go watch that one. See what the people of Delphi, see what Carroll County was looking at, and see how they responded. I think that was the definite time that Tony Liggett knew that he was wetting his pants, saying, oh, I've got to do something here, right? My opinion. Allegedly. All right, so the court is requesting a change. All right, let me look at. They're looking for the defense is asking again for the fourth time the Franks motion, and in my opinion, if they had ever given the Franks any kind of serious thought and let any of them stand and actually come to a hearing, we would not be having a trial because they would have to throw out all this evidence, right? Yeah. So, I loved that, and we've got another one to read. But I love that because the thing of it is it just goes to show what some of us have been saying for a long time. It didn't happen there. It didn't happen at the time. This is a bunch of crap. This is just it's a load of BS is what it is. But you have to understand that until the defense, which I am convinced that the defense knows, that they will never get a Franks motion out of goal. It's never going to happen. And I think they know that. But what they are doing, in my opinion, is putting all these motions out there, including all this evidence and referencing other things such as this whole conversation and this whole thing between Sergeant Blocker and Steve Mullen, because now you have a timeline. You have them show when the phone was clearly not there, all right? The not in working condition is irrelevant because it was in working condition, so that's a moot point. It wasn't there. It wasn't at the area. So how are the girls unalived and nobody knows and nobody hears the cell phone? It's not pinging, although people are calling Libby, right? But nobody's hearing that. It's not dead because it pinged again in the morning. But all this going on and all these searchers, and nobody sees the girls. Nobody gets a ping off the phone because it's not in the area, right? So who has the phone? More importantly, what are they doing with that phone? Let's just say, for heck's sake, that Libby and Abby were there and they just didn't see them. The phone wasn't there. So who had the phone? What were they doing with the phone? And if you have the phone and you're doing something with it, don't you see your picture and your video, your alleged stuff on there? You're at the phone. You've got the phone. You are looking at it and you're like, oh crap, there's picture me. Dang, I need to erase this. Don't you think? Come on. The phone wasn't there. That is why, among many, many reasons, that is why I do not believe the girls were there either. Wait, this is way long time ago. Let's see. Let me go back. Just Deb. Hold on, my mouse isn't working. Baldwin knew if he didn't get their attention to this case, RA was going to be railroaded and R&B would be shut would be shut down to perform meaningful defense. They needed the world to know. Yes, that was the end. That was the rest of my thought. The reason that they are doing this, okay, I do not believe they ever for 1 minute think they're going to get a Frank's hearing. But it is out there and it is in writing. So, okay. So if this case goes sideways, oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry, that's from my boss. So I kind of have to take that one. And I have a new phone and I don't know how to turn this off. Okay. There we go. They know that if the case goes sideways, which, it ain't looking good right now, they'll have it on appeal. All this is on record. Okay, so then they can bring this in. So then if it goes to appeal and people are going through all these motions and they're looking at for all the reasons, all right, because what Baldwin and Rozzi are doing is like, okay, if Carroll County is not going to give us any justice, or Allen County in this case, but if at the county level they are going to convict Richard Allen, we want the state to be able to clearly see how corrupt and how many violations they did to get this man convicted, so it will be an easy setup for an appeal. And probably at the time of appeal, if they go back and they look at all this evidence and they just get to the Franks motion and they're going to actually look at that evidence, they're going to say, look, this is ridiculous. He should have had a Franks hearing, and none of this evidence should have ever, like, the PCA is crap. None of this evidence should have been used in court against Richard Allen. So that is, I think, where they are going with this whole thing. Yeah, because it's the fourth Franks. I don't know what his 7 Stars, what his son-in-law's name is. I can't remember. I know somebody knows. I've heard it, but I didn't write it down, so there you go. Yeah, which phone are we talking about? That to me is, Lambert, also a question. The loaner phone, the one the family took from her, or her real phone. Yeah, isn't that something? Because honestly, I don't think we're really sure. I don't think we're really sure. I mean, they say. Do we really know what phone that was? I don't think we do. Let's see. Meth. Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens, y'all. Don't do drugs. Just say no. Let me go through. Hello, Sherry Faye. I just want to make sure I don't miss something because I don't see y'all when I'm reading that. Hi, Wasa. They're gonna take me without pants. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. I'm gonna tell you, they don't care. They don't care. It's just I know I haven't done anything wrong. But I still wouldn't want to be pulled into the station in just my shirt, especially when it's a dress shirt. Y'all can't see it. This is one of my business shirts, like when I have to go out and be professional. Like it's all silky and I don't know, chiffony, whatever. Not the look that you want for jail. I'm just telling you. All right. Let's see. Somebody else agrees with me. Sherry Faye, agree 100% they weren't there. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's always an interesting, the timeline for everything is very interesting, Lambert. Carter just happened to be on vacation when Liggett and Doolin, concocted this PCA against Richard Allen. Yeah. Well, he goes on vacation in October, I guess you can, but It's not the high season for it. Um, Freckled Joy, I'm looking at your comment. So I don't want to. I don't want this to necessarily be on the screen. So you think that Derek was right there during the crime? I've considered that. I've considered not that he was a willing participant. I don't mean that at all. I've considered the fact that he may have been there, which would be absolutely horrific. Let's see. All right. Are you ready for hello, Jaded Empath? Did I say hello to you, Melissa? I don't know if I did. Anybody I didn't say hello to, I am so, let's see. How would we know which phones since they didn't go through they didn't go through the family's phones, but, exactly Hiawatha. Kelsey went through and look, again, y'all, they told Kelsey and Mike to go home and bring them all of the devices. Okay, I realized that they didn't know it was a crime at this point, or supposedly didn't know it was a crime at this time. The girls were just missing. But if you wanted evidence or you wanted to check from devices, why didn't you go to the house and get those devices, law enforcement? You're just going to, Kelsey said, I deleted stuff. Oh, it wasn't important. It was nothing that is not your decision to make. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that. Oh, okay. You see, you meant that he was waiting for her at the trailhead. Look, I'm saying I don't know because of the. I hope not. I don't think the crime took place at that time. So even if he was there, he wasn't. But do I think it was a retaliation? I don't know for sure, but I think it is extremely plausible. I think that I know the drug world, okay? It happens. It happens a lot. And I hope that is not what happened. I don't know. Yes, that was very interesting too. Lambert says, I have on video Kelsey stating that Becky called her and said, I cannot get Libby to answer your phone. Libby's phone was never returned to her. Yeah, I think if you didn't give me a link to that, then I did see that. I was like, oh, crap. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next document. What am I doing here? Whoops. And this is make sure I've got the right one up here. All right. Where are we going with this? All right, let me change this to where you can see it better. All right. Okay, accused's reply to the state's response to motion to compel and sanctions and request for the state of Indiana to be further sanctioned for providing false information in its response. Now, I found this one pretty interesting, and it's a little bit easier to read through. Not that the other one was really hard, but let's just dive in. Comes now the accused, Richard Allen, by and through counsel, and files the following reply to the state's response to defendant's motion to compel and request for sanctions filed April 23rd, 2024, hereinafter known as response. Belated disclosure of Todd Click letter and evidence. Now remember, according to yesterday's drops, the prosecution doesn't want Todd Click mentioned. Nothing that he did, none of his research, none of his reports. Let's just exclude Todd Click's research on this case. All right. In paragraph 15 of its response, the state of Indiana pled to this court that the state of Indiana did not delay in turning over evidence from Todd Click. This assertion is false. Number 2, the defense previously provided in this court exhibits 1 through 3, its memorandum in support of the accused motion for Frank's hearing filed on September 18, 2023, hereinafter Frank's 1. Exhibit 1 is a copy of the envelope containing the Todd Click letter and information, which is stamped received May 1st, 2023, Carroll County Prosecutor, because they have to have not only the letter with the date on the actual, for legal purposes, you have to have the outside of the letter or the package, whatever. You have to keep that. It's got the stamp on it. The prosecution did not disclose the letter to Mr. Allen's counsel until approximately September 8th, 2023, which is 4 months and 4 days after the prosecution's receipt. So, why did it take you that long? All right. We all know, but let's go through it. Number 3. The letter and document sent by Todd Click clearly shows that he, Click, and 2 other law enforcement officers, Greg Ferenczi of the Terre Haute Police Department and assigned to the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, and Kevin Murphy of the Indiana State Police, believed that third-party suspects were involved in the unalivings of the victims, and that the evidence against Richard Allen was not nearly as compelling as the evidence they had unearthed on certain third-party suspects. Okay. Well, no wonder the prosecution doesn't want this information to come up in court. Number 4. Because of Click's concern that the prosecution was neglecting the evidence gathered by law enforcement officers Todd Click, Greg Ferenczi, and Kevin Murphy, he, Click, hired a lawyer to help draft a letter to Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McClelland to alert him that he, Click, believed that third-party suspects were involved in the unalivings. Okay, so you're not getting Nick's attention, okay? You're telling him, hey, I think you got the wrong guy because you need to look at the evidence that we spent countless hours, the 3 of us, gathering. And I think in Click's head, he's like, if Nick just saw this, he would understand, oh, we've got the wrong guy. We need to go in another direction. Oh, but no, that wasn't getting through to old Nick. So he hires an attorney. Right? We've heard this before. Hires an attorney to help him draft a letter to get Nick's attention to say, hey, bud, I think you need to look at this. Like, this is really important. And I'm sure you've just overlooked it. I know you're busy. You've just overlooked it. I'm just bringing it to your attention legally. All right, number 5. It is hard to imagine a more exculpatory type of letter than one in which an investigator is courageous enough to detail that he and 2 other investigators believe the prosecution may have accused the wrong man. Click's fearlessness also involved going to the lengths of hiring a lawyer to proactively steer the prosecution toward the actual unalivers and away from possible injustice against an innocent man. Yeah, I would say that was very courageous because you probably, I think Todd Click already knew where this was going. Number 6, additionally, through his letter, Click wanted to ensure that the prosecution had received all the evidence that Click possessed of the other third-party suspects that should be turned over to the defense. Did you get all of the information? Because we want to make sure you got all of it so you can give it to the defense because, we really can prove that Mr. Allen didn't have anything to do with this. It's somebody else. The prosecution failed to retrieve the evidence from Click until approximately August 30th, 2023. The prosecution only retrieved the evidence after it realized that the defense had learned of the third-party suspects through other documents. So, Click gives this information to Nick, And he's like, I'm sitting on it. I'm sitting on it. I don't want anybody to know about this evidence. I don't want anybody to know what y'all found. And, I'm not even going to give it to the defense. I'm just going to, we're going to just cover it up. All this big pile of papers. Nobody's going to know. It's just here. I know it's here. But then, lo and behold, comes the day when Nick becomes aware, oh crap, the defense knows about this. Well, shoot. I guess we're going to have to give it to him now. 4 months later. There ain't nothing we can do now. Somebody has already opened that can of worms, and now the defense knows. So we're going to have to turn it over. Do y'all see, again, even if you believe Richard Allen is innocent, can you not see the miscarriage of justice here? Can you not see how everything is being corrupted, covered up? I mean, if you have a solid case and you know somebody is guilty, then you are not afraid of the truth, are you? You're not afraid of evidence because you already know you've got it. Dog. My gosh. All right, the prosecution failed to retrieve the evidence until August 30th, after the defense knew about it. Number 7, the evidence that the prosecution failed to retrieve for 4 months included the following: multiple interviews of Elvis Fields. Really? I didn't know they did that multiple times, but they did. Multiple times, Elvis Fields. Interviews of Rod Abrams. Interviews of Ned Smith. Interviews of Johnny Messer. And additional interviews. Whoa, what was that document we just read yesterday? Where the prosecution is like, okay, we don't want any evidence, not even a reference, not even an innuendo. Nothing that would say anything about Todd Click or any of these people. And all of these names, y'all, were on this list along with some others. Okay, we don't want you to mention this in court. Don't confuse the jury with facts. Don't confuse them with the truth. Number 8, the prosecution had never disclosed any of these documents to Mr. Allen's counsel until September 8th, 2023. Really? Because now it's been almost a year. Y'all have been on the case. You have been doing this. You've been representing Mr. Allen for almost a year. But the prosecution had never disclosed any of these things. Now I start to understand. Honestly, when that first Frank's motion, the 136-page memorandum came out, I'm like, this was like kind of overkill, y'all. I mean, there was a lot of stuff we didn't need to know. I mean, I wanted to know, but I didn't need to know it. But now I understand it because everything that had not been disclosed, and now it wasn't until September 8th of 2023 they get this information that talks about all these interviews, that talks about Odinism, that talks about these other suspects. And I'm guessing that at that point, Baldwin and Rozzi were like steaming mad. And they're like, it's kind of like when you get a nasty email, you get a nasty message and you're like, that's uncalled for. And then you think about it and you're like, you know what? I'm fixing to answer you back. And so they wrote like a paragraph and you're writing like 10 pages. Because I'm that mad. That's how mad I am. I'm going to tell you how mad I've been every second since I have known you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's that response. Like, I think they'd had it up to here. Like, you know what? You're going to try to not disclose info to us. We're going to write 136 pages. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. That's how mad we are. Now, that is hypothetical. That is how I look at it. But like I said, there's a lot of reasons for that. All right. Number 9. There were many exculpatory statements made by witnesses discovered in these interviews, including a key piece of evidence that connected Elvis Fields, Rod Abrams, and Ned Smith, all of whom resided in or near Rushville, to Brad Holder in the Logansport, Delphi area. Number 10. This key piece of evidence, as well as other evidence not known by the defense until the state of Indiana provided it to the defense on September 8th, 2023, nearly 9 months later than required. Required by rule, not suggested, required by rule. And over 4 months after the prosecution learned of the existence of this evidence possessed by Click. Yeah. I mean, it is ridiculousness. At this point, it is buffoonery. Buffoonery. That's a word I really like. Buffoons. It describes some people so well. Those buffoons. Number 11. Sorry. Because of this late discovery, the defense was denied the ability to conduct its investigation in a more efficient manner and more quickly focus on its defense on third-party subjects, thereby putting the defense behind where it should have been in terms of preparation than if the state had complied with the rules. Of course, it put you behind. But I'll tell you what, when you did on August 30th get some of this information and see where it all ties in, boom, by September 18th, boom, little over 2 weeks, you had a bomb. You had a bomb ready. Imagine what they could have done with all those 4 months. It's pretty scary, huh, Nick? On April 29th, 2024, the prosecution filed a motion requesting this court to limit or deny Mr. Allen the ability to present evidence of third-party suspects to a jury. Exactly. What? Yeah, that's what we read yesterday. Then they filed a motion saying, you know what, we don't want you to talk about anybody else. You know what that whole thing was? We don't want you to talk about, confuse the jury, do any innuendos or any reference in any way, shape, or form to suggest that a third party could have done this. Because that would be reasonable doubt. And that would really mess up our case. So see, we need to suppress all that. Number 13, Mr. Allen's counsel believes that this further supports its contention that the prosecution was attempting to conceal evidence of third-party suspects throughout this case, you think, including the identity of a Purdue professor in a September 6, 2023 email, as well as the click material detailed herein. Number 14, Mr. Allen requests that the prosecution be sanctioned. Yeah. I agree with this. Like, you know, maybe some people need sanctioned on both sides for certain things, but I definitely agree with this. For not turning this exculpatory evidence over to the defense, and then for falsely claiming to this court that the prosecution did not delay in turning over evidence from Todd Click. Look, I think there's a lot of things they should be sanctioned for. Well, I don't know. There wouldn't be a sanction because it wouldn't be on the attorneys. But there should be some ramifications for using false affidavits to do a fake PCA. That's where we need to start. Email concerning Purdue professor Jeffrey Turco. Number 15. In paragraph 16 of his response, the prosecutor asserts, quote, "The state of Indiana did not mislead or lie to the defense in an email," unquote. This short assertion, consisting of just 15 words, is false. Of course it was. Number 16. Mr. Allen's counsel provided the prosecution's September 6, 2023 email to the court as an exhibit. Really? You didn't lie? Well, look at it. We got the receipts. Hey, buddy. That's a little bit embarrassing. As an exhibit to the defense reply to prosecution's response to 3rd Frank's memorandum on April 8th, 2024. This reply also provided the context of why this email is false and misleading concerning the identity of the Purdue professor. Furthermore, in his September 6, 2023 email, the prosecutor failed to disclose to the defense that at that time, on September 6th, The prosecutor already had in his possession the Purdue report. Huh. Yeah. So you're saying, oh, we can't get this, whatever. We don't remember who he is, but we do remember he said it's not related. But you've got the reports, and we can't find the report. We can't find the professor. Huh? Who knows? Lost forever. Kind of like those video interviews, right? Except they did have them, and the defense also stepped up and got their stuff. So, all right. They had in its possession the Purdue report and had possession of that for over 2 weeks at the time the prosecutor sent the email. 2 weeks. The state of Indiana failed to turn over to the defense that exculpatory document until October 4th, and only upon request of the defense. So you weren't going to tell them at all. Like, you just weren't. That's what that means. And now, the defense put the pressure on you. Okay. Number 17. Apparently, the prosecution believes that with this court, it can simply make an assertion without facts, arguments, or supportive documentation, and that will be enough for the court to ignore the defense's request that the prosecutor be sanctioned for providing false and misleading information to the defense. Yeah. And the reason that they believe that is because that's the way it always gets, that goal always rules, I don't even see a slap on the hand to Nick. I see a slap across the face to Baldwin and Rosie. Go, boom. Nick commits, some big major thing. I don't even see it. Don't do that, Nikki. No. It's just like, okay, whatever. I'm ignoring that. Ignored. She should just have a stamp to put on her stuff. Ignored. 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 Number 18, the defense is requesting this court to order the prosecutor to explain why he provided false information and misled the defense, and also to be sanctioned for doing so. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. Outstanding discovery. Number 19, the defense rejects the prosecution's assertion in paragraph 7 of its response that, quote, all the information minus the SOPs and the chain of custody documents was already in possession of the defense, unquote. What? Number 20. On Friday, April 26, 2024, the prosecution turned over a multitude of documents, including an exculpatory piece of evidence concerning the phone pings that was contained in a report written by Steve Mullins of the Delphi Police Department on August 23rd, 2017. Yeah, that's what this whole thing, now we're going to a Frank's, because what they did is, like, they gave you this more evidence, okay? They dump more evidence on you, and now you're having to scurry through it, trying to figure out what's what, because it's mislabeled and all kind of stuff. And now you've already found another thing, enough, added with the other stuff, that we're going to go for Frank's number 4. Because clearly, this should have never happened. Oh, my goodness. What a tangled web we weave. Isn't that Shakespeare? Number 21, Mr. Allen's counsel previously asked multiple times for the prosecution to turn over narrative reports related to phone activities such as geofencing and pings, and the state of Indiana has continually told the defense that no such reports exist. But they do. Because here's one between Mullins and Blocker. Oh, but don't look over here, because there's no such thing. There's no such evidence. There's no reports about phone activity or pings. No. But there it is. Why is this not grounds for a sanction or something? I can guarantee you, if it were flipped around and Baldwin and Rosie did this, or if Nick, if he was the defense, the roles were reversed, Nick would be thrown off the case, okay, for incompetence. But, because it's coming from the other side, this is just so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. All right. Number 22. The exculpatory report the defense received on Friday, April 26th, 2024, 17 days before the trial begins, provides evidence that the victims were not at the crime scene on February 13th, 2017. Yes. 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 That's what I've been saying. I want to see that. Of course, I can't see that because the trial's not going to be televised. The victims were not at the crime scene. If they were, those 3 people that were at the crime scene, the geofencing, they need to be locked up. But it wasn't Richard Allen. Number 23. The prosecution claims that it has turned over all the evidence and asserts in paragraph 5 that it has, quote, no idea why the defense cannot locate the documents, unquote. I mean, we turned over everything. I don't know why you can't find them. Jeez. And that in order to locate the items to appease the defense, the state had to, quote, dive into 26 terabytes of information, often searching several files before documents can be found, unquote. The state. They had to dive into that information because they're trying to help you out, buddy. I don't know why you can't find this. Again, the fact that it's labeled grandma's, chocolate chip cookie recipe. I don't know why you didn't know this was about, those phone pings. Like, it's so obvious. God. Number 24. The defense posits this question. If it is complicated and time-consuming for the prosecution to dive into 26 terabytes of information and requires searching through several files, just a few documents or pieces of evidence can be found, and this is the prosecution's evidence, then how can the prosecution expect the defense to locate the items it seeks without assistance from them? Like, yeah, y'all got to, okay, look, you dumped this on us. We need some help. Like, can you translate through the goop on here? We have no idea. The defense did not organize the discovery. The prosecution organized the discovery during the defense's first tenure on the case and then reorganized or reformatted it for the defense's second tenure on the case. Now, that really brings me to a point. Or a thought. Brings me to a thought. Why did they redo it? Okay, you already had it organized. Then they got kicked off the case. Now they're back on the case, so you redid it again. I wonder, just hypothetically, what got changed between the first organization and the second? Because during the first organization, y'all had not really dropped your whole cards. That first Franks hadn't come out, and everybody was like, oh, holy crap. Y'all were just kind of standing there in the background saying Richard Allen is innocent. But nobody knew what kind of cannons you were bringing to this trial until the Franks motion. So, yeah, I think when you got back on, they're like, you know what? We better do a better job of confusing this. That's not allegedly, my opinion. I think they did. But again, maybe it's perfect. Maybe it's very easy to understand. I could be wrong. Number 25, Richard Allen and his lawyers have only reached out to the prosecution after they had spent several hours searching for documents throughout the state of Indiana's convoluted, disorganized, and often untimely discovery dumps. Number 26, with collective experience of over 70 years, Mr. Allen's attorneys have never experienced a situation where the prosecution has created such significant barriers to locating evidence while also misleading the defense concerning the existence of evidence. In 70 years, we have never seen such cluster, okay? That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wherefore, Richard Allen, by counsel, files his reply to the state of Indiana's response and respectfully requests the court, number one, to sanction the prosecution as previously requested in its motion to compel and a motion for sanctions. Again, I'm going to say wish in one hand, the other. Number two, sanction the prosecution for providing false information in its response. Yeah, I wish that would happen. It should happen. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. But that would be nice. As a result of said sanctions, to order the prosecution to provide an itemized list of all documents, videos, recordings, and other evidence provided to Mr. Allen's attorneys and the location of each item. Now, I kind of thought, I don't know. I'm not the one that keeps records in a case, but I would kind of think that if you are like collecting evidence in a crime case, there's got to be a chain of custody if it's physical evidence, but you would also think that when you take in a piece of evidence, it would be labeled, dated, everything, so it's very concise for whoever wants to work on the case, right? Oh, but that's why they didn't find Richard Allen, because it was misfiled. Whatever. Oh my. Number four, the order the prosecution to explain misleading and false representations contained in its September 6, 2023 email. Yeah, explain to me, Nick, why you had that report of Jeffrey Turco sitting there, and yet you sent an email saying, yeah, I don't know, buddies. Probably not going to happen. We don't know who it is. We know it wasn't important. Wow. But it is sitting there right with you, and they'd like for you to have to explain that, as would I. But do I think this is going to be granted? No, I don't. Number five, for all other just and proper relief in the premises. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice, y'all? Wouldn't that be nice? I would love to see an explanation of all this. Wow. So, my biggest takeaway today is, of course, all of the things that we already knew that was mislabeled, mishandled, the fourth Franks. I was very interested in seeing that they for sure have a timeline to know that phone was not there, okay? It was not there, and then it was there, so somebody explain. Can you explain that to me? Yeah. All right. Okay. So Scully just said something. Let me go back up here because I don't want to say too much sometimes. Oh. Oh my gosh, I can't say that. I can't say this, Melissa. I can't say this, but I am jeez. Haven't heard that. Wow. Okay. The question is when it was planted. The girls were not there on the 13th. All the BS pings around town. Yeah, when was it planted? See, I'm thinking, and this is just, I really don't know, okay? All I know is the girls weren't there. Neither was the phone. I'm thinking that it was all returned around 2:30 a.m. when it pinged, when people said it pinged. Of course, we don't have that in writing. It would have to be between 2 and 4, okay? And people were out there late, even though they called off the search. There were some people that were out there very late. So I'm thinking maybe between 2:30 and 4:30 a.m. Maybe it was closer to 4:30 a.m. And that's why it pinged. Because, of course, by that time, people had searched all night, and they knew they were getting up and searching. The initial thought was we're getting up at daybreak and searching. But that didn't happen, did it? Because apparently in Carroll County, daybreak, aka morning search time, is 11. Yeah. Y'all people. Y'all really sleep in. Let's see. Hiawatha, I have never in my 60 plus years seen a crime trial be over in 2 weeks. Why would she only schedule out 2 weeks? Oh, yeah. If it only. Well, here's the thing. All right. I hope this is all wrong. But if they get their way and Gull says, okay, I'm not going to allow any evidence about Todd Click, about the Odinist, about any of this, if that motion by Nick, if for some god awful reason she says okay to all that crap, the defense is going to have what are they going to say? There is literally nothing they can say to refute anything. I mean, there's a few things they could try, but I mean, they're going to exclude everything. Now, I don't see. I mean, I've thought about this since I talked about it yesterday. I cannot see how she could let that motion pass, or even big chunks of it. Like, it is so bad. But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, but this is Carroll County and this is Gull. I mean, could this happen? If that did happen and the defense wasn't allowed to mention any of the things that we know are exculpatory, then yeah, it could be over in 2 weeks. What are they going to say? What are they going to say? Oh, man. I don't want to. God in heaven, I don't want to be talking about Delphi for the next, however many years because of appeals. Like, I want this to be over. I want justice, whatever. Who is this? I want Bobby to Trill. Okay. You know what? I don't know who that is, but I will look into it. Is he talking about Delphi, or what is he talking about? I'll have to look that up. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to find all your thoughts, and now my mouse isn't working. Oh, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Was picturing you in a hurry to run and hide. Forgetting you didn't have pants on. Yeah. You know what? As soon as I get done with this live, I'm going to go put pants on. I promise. Yeah, here's the thing. Scully, you're talking about the Florida bloody jeans. Yeah. That's something that, what to say? Yeah, I want to know. I want to know too. I want to know how fast those genes can be DNA tested. Okay? Like I said, I know a lot about that situation. And I want to know. And at first I was like, I don't know. It clearly probably could be related to a crime. I mean, but I mean, it would seem like it could be a souvenir of a crime. However, I didn't necessarily put it with this one until I talked to the person, for a long time, and then I was like, oh, maybe it does. Maybe it does. Really? Okay. I had looked for things of hers, Lambert, before. I think you told me that before. And I really couldn't find a whole lot on her. All right, so tell me, what do you think? What do you think? Are you surprised that we see it in, I guess, are you surprised that we see it in writing that we know? My biggest takeaway from these documents is we absolutely know that that phone was out of the area, which messes up the whole timeline of the crime. Now, were they abducted at 3 something or 2 something, 2 after 2:13? Well, they could have been, but the crime was not committed. Okay? The unaliving, in my opinion, if the phone wasn't there at that time and, the geofence shows other stuff and the phone wasn't pinging, then the girls probably weren't there. The girls weren't there. Where were they? And, now we're talking about Richard Allen. All he said is, I was at the bridge from this time to this time. Not even what the prosecution says. He says from 12 to 1:30. They say from 1:30 to 3:30. But regardless, the geofence will show what time he was there, so we can prove that. But then, okay, you've got him there, but if the girls and the phone and everything wasn't there, then now you're going to have to create somewhere. How is Richard Allen going to tie into that? Because if that evidence is true, then Richard Allen, even if he was there between 1:30 and 3:30, like, the phone wasn't, the girls weren't, so how are you going to tie him to that? The most you could try to tie him to is telling the girls to go down the hill, which in my opinion, he does neither look nor sound like Bridge Guy. But that's just my opinion, and I think the whole video and pictures are crap anyway. So, I mean, could he be involved? But he's not yeah. So what did he do? Like, he goes home from lunch, he goes has dinner with his wife. How do you get him tied back to bringing the girls back in the middle of the night or early morning? Yeah. When were these jeans found? The jeans have been... So Greeno did a live and stated the jeans might be about him. The jeans have actually been around for a long time. They just weren't recognized. Okay. And then when they were recognized and they tried to be sent to law enforcement didn't want them. We know how that is. So, Michelle, okay. I guess we just have to see. About those jeans and some other evidence. There's a lot of evidence that... Look, I think there's a lot of evidence. Can you imagine that the defense just got some of this, like this 26 terabytes, and they're just trying to go through it, and already they have come upon Steve Mullen and Sergeant Blocker's communication about the phone not being there. This is just the beginning. Imagine what they can do with more time getting through that evidence. They're probably going to find a lot of stuff. So, yeah. No, there was no testing on the jeans yet. No testing yet. That's what, that's what I was saying there. That's what I'm saying. Like, they, if you're going to test something like that to see if it is involved in any way, then you also have to have time, Lab results. How are you going to get this back quickly? I mean, we're talking trial, and if, like, less than a month. We're talking trial. So, yeah. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that read through. I hope you learned that there's probably going to be, as this comes out, I think if they're finding more information about this, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see more Franks. You're going to see more motion. You're going to see more stuff in writing because guess what? The defense at this point has no choice but to put it in some kind of motion or appeal or something. They have to get this information out here somewhere because the prosecution is suppressing it. They don't want anybody to know. They didn't want anybody to know about Turco or this, this new timeline, this new phone thing. All the many things that have come out. If that is the only way they are going to save Richard Allen, if it ends up that it's not able to be used in his first trial, then it needs to be out there for the appeal, okay? I honestly think anybody who looks at this on appeal and looks at all the stuff in I don't think it's even going to go to a trial. I think they're going to, if they're honest and they look at the evidence in the Franks motions and the stuff that the defense can prove, if it goes on appeal, I think they're going to go with the first thing. Hey, this is a Franks. It never should have been a trial. There never should have been any of this stuff. Toss it out. Toss it out. It's the wrong person. But anyway, yeah. So I think that we're going to have a lot of interesting stuff. Man, I hate that I have to work such long hours and I can't always, get that done. Can't always go live because I am quite entertained. Like, I am quite entertained by all this, the whole court motions, everything. It's more fun than a barrel of monkeys, people. I'm just like, man, look at this. Look at this. Wow. And the stuff that comes on. It is the circus. The Delphi Circus, So whatever. I am going to do a Missing 411 show Thursday night with Brain Bungle. And if you're following Karen Reed, I saw a couple of things today. I could not watch the live because earlier today we had bad storms. I couldn't start it, but I may, if I can get it together, I'm going to do a recap tonight of Karen Reed and some interesting things that have already come out and any updates on Riley Strain or Sebastian Rogers. So if you are interested in any of that stuff, please hang out with me tonight. It'll probably be, I'm guessing, I'll put a notice out. It'll probably be about 6 o'clock because I have to get up early tomorrow. Anyway, I hope y'all have a lovely day. I hope you're as entertained by Carroll County as I am. And, stay safe out there. It's a dangerous world where you could have to go to jail and you're without pants. So there you go. Pray for me, y'all. I'll see you later. Have a great one. Whatever you do, just stay silky. All right. Bye-bye.